My name is John Cleal, also known as Tex. I was born in Warrell on the 22nd of November 1934. Went out and applied to join the Mounted Police when I was 21, and I had my Owen Williams boots on and my Ted pants and my Stetson hat. And they saw me walking down towards them and they said, "Oh, here comes Tex Morton." And more people know me by Tex and John. In the Mounties, we used to do traffic duty. People loved to come up and pat the horses, and we'd be sitting there at Park and Pitt Street, and they'd come up and say, "Oh, isn't he lovely?" And I'd say to move the horse or the rider. I won the best turned out mounted trooper at the Sydney show. Then next year I was awarded the Silver Spurs for the most outstanding mounted constable. Then the next year they had a trophy for the most consistent mounted constable. It was a nice big canteen of country, which I won the next year. And this is a bit rude, this story, but we used to go out to Centennial Park in pairs, half section. There'd be Ron Livermore, Dan Cadlish, Les Miller and Lee, and then all the other blokes, 36 of us. And this horse, Peter, he used to pop a lot. And when he was going to have his pop, he'd go on, and he's going, and Les Miller grabbed my hat, and I knew what he was going to do, so I grabbed his hat and pulled it down over my head. And he's gone and filled my head up with a fresh horse book. So Ron Livermore was trying to get up out of his saddle and look around and see what they're laughing at. So he had to tip the shit out of his head, put it on, he's got all the gravy running down over his head. So he never ever did that again. Congratulations if you were a Mountie. And if you weren't in the Mounties, you don't know what you missed from not being in there. Because the 8 years I was in there was 8 years the best time of my life. Nearly making me cry, thinking about it.
My name is Sue Lowe. I joined New South Wales Police in 1987, then joined the Mounted Police in the end of '89. Then I stayed there for my whole career and retired in 2010, medically discharged. So spent mostly my entire career at the New South Wales Mounted Police Unit. So in 2002, I was working in Sydney at a protest, and it was a big one that day. And unfortunately for me, one of the protesters threw some marbles underneath the horse's feet, and my horse slipped right over onto the tarmac, and we both came tumbling down, and I had to have a shoulder replacement eventually, and that sort of caused me to retire from the police. So since I retired, and I felt like, you know, I was still young enough to contribute but couldn't fulfil my role anymore, so I attend the Mounted Police on occasion as a volunteer and just help train the troops. I get a lot of sense of satisfaction for being able to assist still as a volunteer there. This year I judged at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. It's my third time judging since I've retired, and that's a privilege and a pleasure to go and be able to judge them and their performance at the Royal Easter Show. Everybody who has been involved with the Mounted Police, it's just a special club that we've all been in, whether you were a police officer or a groom or farrier or somebody working within the unit. It's just a very, very special place, and well, let's hope it goes for another 200 years.
My name's Murray Smith. I had 17 years in the police force, and the 4 years at the Mounties was definitely the best. I was probably what you'd call an average tent pegger. There were many very good tent peggers when I was there. However, I did go to the Melbourne Royal and I pegged in the first team down there. but most of the time I was in the second team and also did a lot of exhibitions. We had to train the horses to do that, and so training some of the ex-race horses to do that was very difficult. One particular event that stands out in my mind, and which I'll never forget about, we used to, after we'd been practising musical rides and tent pegging, we would give the horses a pick under the trees, because being stabled all the time, they didn't get any green grass. So this particular day, we had a little horse called Tony that was a very quiet horse, and whoever was riding him lay down in the grass and went to sleep, just hanging onto his reins. So we snuck up on him, took the reins off. When Rolly said mount up and go back, we went back to the stables and put Tony down the back of the section and left the bloke out there asleep in the grass. About half an hour later, he wandered in with the bridle and walked into the office and said to Rolly, "I've lost my horse." The advice I'd give to young Mounties joining, or the young ones that are in there, is enjoy your time there, be proud of the unit, and the camaraderie and mateship that you'll form there will last you a lifetime. So keep in touch with your old mates.
Hi, I'm Karen Owen. I joined the job in 1982. I did 12 months at Darlinghurst Police Station and then transferred to the Mounted Unit in 1983, and that's where I did the remainder of my service, 34 years in total, before I retired. I just was very keen to work with horses for a career. I thought about becoming a jockey, but I was too tall. Then all of a sudden I heard they were going to start to accept women into the mounted police, which had never been allowed before. And back then you had to be tall, a certain height, to get into the police force, so that suited me right down to the ground. Well, when I first joined, they thought that women wouldn't be strong enough to ride the thoroughbred racehorses, because most of the police horses back then were ex-race horses, were quite strong, but it's not strength, it's technique. I can honestly say I think it's the best job in the world. I loved just about every moment of working in the mounted police. I became the first female sergeant in 1997. The highlight in my career, I think, was leading the musical ride for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee in 2012. That was a fantastic opportunity that the Mounted Police went over to England. We rode the household cavalry horses. I had to pinch myself every day that we were actually getting paid to go over there. It was fantastic.
My name's Donald Henry Ive. The recruiting sergeant asked me, "Can you ride a horse, son?" I said, "Yes, sir." He reminded me he wasn't a sir, he was a sergeant. Told me to go and see Sergeant Livermore. That started my police career. And it went right through from there to the year 2005. Really, this unit has changed as the police force has changed. As I talk to ex-Mounties from 60s, 70s, whatever, and you say, different to when we were there, yes it is. But they're still here, still doing a job for the police force. That's the important part. They asked me to choreograph and train 140 horses and riders for the opening of Sydney Olympics. And I said to them, when I look at the list of riders, look, you've got half male, half female, and they've come from all walks of life. You've got show jumpers, hack riders, rodeo riders. You've got a mixture there. They said, that's what Mr. Rick Birch, wants a cross-cut section of the equestrian world. And I'm thinking this is going to be a little difficult. And it was, until we sorted them out. But the big thing in favour of them, they all wanted to be part of the Olympic Games.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sydney 2000 Games on the 27th of
I haven't haven't been in the best of health. And I was talking to the sergeants here, and they were very keen to see how I was progressing. Could I come in to see some of my old mates? So it depends on the weather, how I'm feeling. That morning, I said, no, I won't come in. I'm just a bit off, it's raining. I said, oh, can you come in just for an hour? So I did. And I realised it wasn't just for the return of old Mounties, but they've named a training yard after me, which was unbelievable. Very memorable experience. It is the oldest mounted police unit in the world, not just Australia. We are fortunate to celebrate 200 years of mounted policing here in New South Wales.
Today we're celebrating the 200th anniversary of the New South Wales Mounted Police Force Unit, which makes us the oldest continuously serving mounted unit in the world. We are parading from Hyde Park Barracks all the way down to the Opera House today, where we will have a ceremony to celebrate this momentous occasion. I will not cry, I will not cry.